The Lions are a wagon. Jared Goff is an MVP candidate. The Titans are in a bad way. They're starting to already be sellers. I am not expecting them to go into Detroit and get the win.
You're tuned in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, guiding your gridiron journey, none other than your host, former NFL lineman, Ross Tucker.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It never is, but especially not on a Finish Strong Friday, Picks Friday, Winners Friday edition of the mighty RTFP. Absolutely love Winners Fridays because I actually remembered to pick winners this week. We'll get to that momentarily. The Finish Strong Friday is a mindset. Yes, I have to work all weekend. I'll be doing Ravens, Browns, CBS, 1 p.m. Check me out there on the Red Zone or whatever. So it's a little bit different for me, but for you guys, I want you to finish the work week strong and for your family, for yourself, so you can feel good about watching football and the family time over the weekend with what you accomplished during the week for your family. That's the finish strong part. The picks part will come after I give you my thoughts on last night's Vikings-Rams game. But first, we actually have winners. Those of you that just do a little something extra that helps us grow the Ross Tucker Podcast Network, like Steven Martson. Steven, I saw that comment on TikTok, at Ross Tucker NFL on TikTok. Any comments, replies, quote posts, they always help. Love it, love it, love it. Just like Tom Duttweiler. Tom got a future fans box using the code Ross. I forget his email. You got it for a 10-year-old, maybe a nephew. Tom, let me know. I think he might have said in the email. I'll check it out for next week. He might have said in the email that they're loving that box from future fans. I love it. Such a cool gift. Such a cool thing for family time. And then the YouTube shout out, Harry Mills. Harry, all three of you, email me, ross@rosstucker.com. Let me know what preferred press pass you would like me to sign and send it to you in the mail. Again, ross@rosstucker.com. And as a reminder, even just rating and reviewing the show can be the spread the word winner. That's cool as well. It's Big Show time.
The Big Show.
Absolutely gigantic win for the Rams on Thursday Night Football, Jack. It was pretty impressive. Actually, both teams started out red hot as Matthew Stafford and Sam Darnold went up and down the field. The first 4 drives were all touchdowns, as it looked like the teams were going to be absolutely unstoppable all night. It wasn't quite that good. And in fact, even though Justin Jefferson had a huge night, after Christian Darrisaw went out with the knee injury, Darnold was under duress after that. He did not fare nearly as well, and the Vikings had to settle for field goals, whereas Stafford was still able to move the ball against that vaunted Vikings defense and get a couple more touchdowns on the board. Of course, a lot of people are going to talk about, and rightfully so, how the game ended. Still a 1-score game, and Byron Young had maybe the most blatant face mask I've ever seen that the officials didn't call. So disappointing that there's not a mechanism to fix that. Ultimately, the Rams probably would have won anyway. Huge win for LA.
Want to know which team is going to win every single game on Sunday? Then listen up.
All right, Ross. We'll start with the team I'm wearing in the game you're calling. That is the Baltimore Ravens. They are at the Cleveland Browns.
I should mention real quick, Jack, that the Thursday night recap, that was presented by Labatt Blue Light. Living life to the power of we. Always enjoy it responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. I guess I could have waited for the Bills game to say that, but that's what sponsored the Thursday night. Anyway, look, I hope it's a really good game. I think that there's potential here with a short week for the Ravens. A lot to prepare for, right? New play caller and Ken Dorsey, new quarterback and Jameis Winston. Do the Browns get a little bit of that new quarterback push or boost? We shall see. I still think the Ravens win the game. I mean, the Ravens have been, what are they, number 2 in my power rankings? I think the Browns are like 31. That is a big gap. This would be, can you imagine what people will be saying in Cleveland if Jameis Winston leads the Browns to a win in this game. I'm just hoping as a broadcaster it's close. I think it will be. I think Winston's going to put up some numbers, but I don't think it'll be enough. Let's say 30-23 Ravens.
And by the way, Ross, yes, these are new glasses. Thank you for noticing. I appreciate it. We've got the Titans. They're at the Lions.
You went with the black rim, huh?
They seem neat, like Clark Kent vibes was wide.
Yeah, I like it. I like goes with the mustache, and it matches the collar on your Ravens jersey there. This is why you have to watch youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. What game? Now you got me distracted.
It's the Titans and Lions.
All right. Well, I'm taking the Lions, and not only am I taking the Lions, they're my Larceny lock, presented by Larceny Weeded Bourbon. Lock in a win and seize tonight. Bardstown, Kentucky, 46% alcohol by volume. Think wisely, drink wisely. The Lions are a wagon. Jared Goff is an MVP candidate. The Titans are in a bad way. They're starting to already be sellers. Ernest Jones, DeAndre Hopkins. The players on the team know what that means. Rebuilding year. I am not expecting them to go into Detroit and get the win. Let's say similar score to last week, I guess, against the Bills. Maybe a little bit better. 31-17, Detroit.
We'll stick in the AFC South. We've got the Colts. They're at the Houston Texans.
Juicy matchup between these teams. Just really hard to take the Colts right now, isn't it? I mean, when you watch Anthony Richardson and the Colts offense play, it's kind of like, yeah, it's hard to win if you can't be more efficient in the passing game. Greg kind of talked about that as he discussed multiple teams yesterday here on the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Plus, I do think the Texans bounce back from that performance against the Packers. They need their offensive line to play better in pass protection. They're running it pretty effectively with Mixon, but that's not enough. I mean, you got to give C.J. Stroud some time with those receivers they have, even though Nico Collins is out. Give Stroud some time. The Texans have invested a lot in that offensive line to get the production or lack thereof that they are right now. So the Colts need to get after Stroud. I don't know that it'll be enough, though. Give me the Texans to win the game at home, 24-17 Houston.
Next, the Jaguars. They're hosting the Green Bay Packers.
I'm a little surprised just looking at the betting line that it's as close as it is. I guess the Jags coming off that win where they look pretty good against the Patriots. Maybe there's some confidence there. Maybe they're starting to improve. Can you please, Press Taylor, please just give the ball to Tank Bigsby and Brian Thomas? Those are your dudes, whether you know it or not. Those are your guys. Jags might win this one, although, man, there's going to be a lot of Packers fans at this one. I feel like anytime I've ever seen the Packers play a game in Florida, that is the game a lot of their fans travel to. I'd be curious to see the ratio of Packers fans to Jags fans down there. Give me the Pack. I'll back the Pack. 27-24 Green Bay.
Got the Joey Porter Bowl, the Cardinals. They're at the Miami Dolphins.
Dude, that's like sacrilegious for Steelers fans that are listening right now. To call Joey Porter Cardinals Dolphins, to call that the Joey Porter Bowl. I remember the Dolphins. I do not remember the Cardinals. Was that after the Dolphins?
Yeah, he spent his last 2 years with the Cardinals. He was an All-Pro. He was an All-Pro in Miami, Pro Bowler.
Yeah, no, he still had some juice left in Miami. I've heard some epic stories about him during the season where they didn't win a game or they weren't going to win a game until they finally did. So this is a tough one because it's hard to really know what to expect from Tua coming back in this game, right? I mean, there should definitely be some rust. And I really feel like when you look at this game, the Cardinals should get after Tua. The problem is the Cardinals are like a yo-yo. The Cardinals are like a roller coaster. So I can't sit here and think after a big win on Monday night, they're going to on a short week go to Miami and have a really good performance. They haven't shown that yet this year. Plus, I think the Dolphins get the starting quarterback is back boost. So give me Tua and the Dolphins to win this one. I think there's a decent amount of points in this game. Maybe let's go 24-20. Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins get the win.
It wasn't a slow-mo pass, but we did get a walkout video. Hassan Reddick and the Jets, they are at the Patriots.
Yeah, but the walkout video was not slow-mo. It was regular mo. Attention, Jet social media people, you blew a golden opportunity to go viral with Rodgers throwing a slow-mo pass to Hassan Reddick. You can still do it, just won't be quite the same. Or at least have Reddick slow-mo walking out to the field and be
he
like...
He did give a, we're back, let's make it happen. He gave a cheesy quote, so I think it makes up for it.
Hassan said that?
Yeah, I think he said, let's make it happen or something.
I didn't look at his... I didn't listen. I didn't have the audio on. I just watched it. At any rate, I'll take the Jets to win the game. That was interesting, I thought, what Greg said yesterday, which is, by the way, why you have to listen or watch all of the episodes. And from time to time, we're putting some of the other shows, Fantasy Feast or College Draft or Even Money or whatever, on this RSS feed because we want some of you, like you, and you, to at least give the other shows a chance at some point. They're good. Even if you're not into fantasy or betting or college, it's a cool, different way to listen or look at the game. And what Greg said yesterday about the Jets' offense being close, the Patriots are a good team to be close against. Real good. Give me the Jets to light it up pretty good. I think the Jets, dominate. 31-13. Jets, 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 Jets.
The Atlanta Falcons, they're at the Bucs.
The Bucs stop here. The Falcons coming off a very disappointing and humbling loss. Now they're going against the Bucs team on a short week. I know it's a home game for the Bucs, but no Mike Evans and no Chris Godwin at the same time is alive. This would be a gigantic win for Bowles and Baker if they get it done, and they might. I just can't pick that to happen. Give me the Falcons in a fun game. I don't know that it could be quite as fun as that Thursday nighter. Let's go 27-24 Atlanta. I still think the Bucs and Baker move it pretty good. 27-24 Falcons.
Eagles, they're at the Cincinnati Bengals.
Ooh, the Eagles are underdogs, huh? By 2 points. What was it earlier in the week? They were underdogs by 2.5. That sounds about right to me. Man, especially after what Greg said yesterday. So it's funny. I watched the Eagles, and I could see there were plays where Hurts was not throwing it to Devontae Smith or Saquon Barkley. But I don't know that I looked at it and thought it was as bad as Greg thought it was. Yikes. Especially because they were running it so well. They should keep running it. We'll see how the Bengals play them. I do think this game comes down to the end, and it does feel like the Bengals are a little bit more desperate for a win here. So you would think Bengals desperate, Bengals at home. There's a lot of things leaning Cincinnati's way. What's leaning the Eagles' way is they have better players. I just think that they're more talented and they have better players. And I think they've got some real momentum after that win against the Giants. I know the Bengals beat the Giants too, but the Eagles dominated. That was convincing. So if they pick up where they left off, I think the Birds get the win. 24-23 Eagles, first underdog pick of the week.
Ross's underdog of the week.
Absolutely no I in football, and Smirnoff knows that. It's a we thing. We experience it together. Tailgates, watching at a friend's house. Smirnoff's the world's #1 vodka, official vodka partner in the NFL, and they're giving fans in select areas of the country a chance to win the ultimate game day experience, from tickets to sideline passes and so much more. Just head to WeDoGameDays.com until November 15th to enter for your chance to win. Smirnoff, We Do Game Days. Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff number 21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Please do not share with anyone under legal drinking age. No purchase necessary. 21 plus. End 11/15/24. See rules at website for participating area and other important details. Sponsored by Diageo Americas Incorporated, New York, New York.
New Orleans Saints, they're at the LA Chargers.
Oh, when the Saints come marching in. Oh, when the Saints come marching in, come marching. Oh, Lord, I wonder how many Saints fans will be in LA. That's an interesting one. That's a far trip for them. And New Orleans is already I don't know. That's my curious about away team fan game of the week. More so than the Packers in Jacksonville, because I know what's going to happen with the Packers in Jacksonville. I don't know what's going to happen in this one. I like the Chargers to win the game quite a bit. Saints are just too beat up right now. It's ugly for them. Now, the Chargers' short week, Saints extra time to rest and prepare, but I don't think the Chargers are losing 2 games in a row to inferior opponents. I just don't see that happening. I wonder, though, if the Chargers could trade for Cooper Kupp. He wouldn't even have to move, you know? I mean, they have a somewhat similar player in Ladd McConkey, who's a good lad, but they could have multiple Cooper Kupp types. They could go with like the Patriots offense for 10 years, having an Edelman and a Welker and a Amendola and all of those guys. Let's go Chargers 27, Saints 17.
Next, the Bills, they're at the Seattle Seahawks.
Looking forward to that one. That's like a sneaky, juicy game, I feel like, right? Where it's super important for both teams. They're both firmly in the mix. They're both division leaders. I mean, the Seahawks, if the Seahawks win this one, Jack, we got to start to really talk about them as being NFC West. I mean, they're definitely NFC West contenders. If they win this one, then they're like NFC West favorites. I don't see it. I think the Bills are better. I think the Seahawks kind of got their impressive win last week in Atlanta. I don't see it carrying over. I think Geno's doing a nice job, but I'll take Josh Allen and the Bills late. This is a fun 405 matchup. Bills 27, Seahawks 26. I don't know how they get to 26. That's not my job. My job is just to throw out numbers. It's your job to think about how they could get to 26.
Chicago Bears, they're at the Commanders.
The Bears. All right. So, as of when we're recording this, I am saying I don't think Jaden Daniels will play. You know, Mariota met with the media which is when the starting quarterback normally does. It doesn't really necessarily mean anything. But if you're the Commanders and you have this incredible rookie and you have a backup in Mariota who did some really good things against Carolina, I think you wait until you're 100% confident that Daniels can protect himself, that Daniels won't make it worse, that Daniels will be in a good place for the game, and for when he returns. I think this is a Mariota game, and because of that, I'm going with the Bears. Really hard to pick the Commanders, Mariota starting. I know he looked pretty good against the Panthers, but the Panthers' defense is woeful. I saw Mariota in Philly. It was not pretty last year at times. Give me what a huge win for them, man. If they get to 5-2 on the road, beating the Commanders, but give them to me. Give them the Bears 23, the Commanders 20.
Next, we've got a Super Bowl 50 rematch. Panthers, they're at the Broncos.
Feels like a long time ago. What was the last Super Bowl we just had? 58?
Yes.
57?
58.
Wow. Because Super Bowl 50 was not that long ago. That was the game that the Broncos won, even though Peyton Manning did like nothing, right?
Yeah, that was like Peyton Manning's arm and was just hanging on by a thread at that point.
Yeah, he could not throw anymore, man. And he won a Super Bowl. And all those years with the Colts, he could throw, and they only won one. It's just, it's wild. What's really wild? He only got to he got to 2 Super Bowls with the Colts and won one. Got to 2 Super Bowls with the Broncos and won one, right?
Yeah,
So he's 2-2 in 4 Super Bowls. They lost to one of the Seahawks in New York.
Yeah, that's one I think.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I'm taking the Broncos. I think the biggest intrigue here, clearly, is to see if Bryce Young got any better. Watching Andy Dalton, I hope he did. I hope he plays awesome. I mean, the more good young quarterbacks in the league, the better. That'll be my guys, Chris Lewis and Jason McCourty calling that game. But I can't predict that to happen. So I'll take the Broncos to get it done. I'll believe that Bryce is playing better when I see Bryce playing better. I don't know how many points they score. I'll give him 16, maybe 13. Let's go 27-16 Carolina. Denver wins against Carolina.
Chiefs, they are at the Las Vegas Raiders.
The Raiders. The Ritter era might start soon, but not quite yet. I like the Chiefs to win the game. I think they'll incorporate DeAndre Hopkins early and often. I do think this will be close. It feels like for whatever reason, the Raiders are able to play the Chiefs pretty close in these games. And I think Minshew, the swashbuckler, what does that even mean, swashbuckler?
Oh, I know it's like the term for like a pirate like swinging his sword. Like, I feel like it's
swashbuckler. Anyway, Minshew, swashbuckler, makes it a close game. I'll say 23-17 Chiefs. The Chiefs defense is just really good.
Merriam-Webster defines it as a swaggering or daring soldier or adventurer. That is what a swashbuckler is. And we've got next, the Cowboys are at the 49ers.
Oh, I like the Niners quite a bit in this one. Although we'll have to see what Debo's status is, how effective he can be. The Cowboys, you'd think, coming off the bye, rest, ready. But obviously, they're still missing some guys on defense. They're still a little bit beat up. Man, if the Niners lost this one to get to 3-5, that would be rough. If you look at it, they're like near the bottom of the standings when you go. 3-5, it could really get ugly in San Francisco. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Cowboys are going to fall to having a losing record at 3-4 and start to see the NFC East maybe slip away from them. Although the Eagles and Commanders could easily both lose by the time this game kicks off. I think it's a fun game. Neither one of them have great records, but I love that this is, a Sunday night matchup because it's like a desperate times call for desperate measures game. I'll ultimately take the Niners to win the game. I think it's a fun one. Let's say, similar to the score I had for Bengals-Eagles, I'll go 24-23. The Niners win a close one on Sunday Night Football.
And we'll wrap things up. The Giants, they are at the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Pretty tough to pick the Giants to win this game or any game. I can't remember how much I talked about this, if at all, on yesterday's show, Jack. I don't really understand the vote of confidence from John Mara. I can see him coming out and strongly saying that we won't be making any changes during the season. But to say after week 7 that you're not going to make any changes after the year, that seems premature to me. What if they don't win another game the whole year? What if they finish 2-15? He's really going to run it back with the same GM and the same head coach? I actually think Daboll is a really good coach. I don't know how you can say that about Joe Schoen. Shane's the one that gave Daniel Jones the contract. Now look, Malik Neighbors looks like a good pick, but Evan Neal, some of these other guys that they've drafted, the whole Saquon situation, I don't think it paints a pretty picture for Joe Schoen, especially when you go back and you watch Hard Knocks. So anyway, that's more for the rest of the season talk. In terms of this game, the only chance the Giants have is if Neighbors makes a couple nutso plays and if up front Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns can get to and sack Russell Wilson multiple times. I don't think the Steelers will let that happen. I think they'll have a good plan. I like Arthur Smith as an OC. and Russell Wilson has absolutely opened that up a little bit. Probably a little bit more of a closer to the vest game here because they don't need to think that they need to score that many points. I mean, how many points is this Giants offense really going to score against the Steelers defense? Not many. So I'll say, how about 20-10? 20-10, like an old school, this is how every game seems like it is, Steelers game, 20-10 Steelers. That'll do it, by the way, for this week on the Ross Tucker Podcast Network. Please check out the Even Money Betting Podcast. We had a great week last week, and I'd love for you guys to check it out. And if you're interested, at least hear the way we talk about games. It's a different way to look at these games. Same with the Fantasy Feast podcast. If you're into prop bets or matchups or fantasy football, John Daigle is fantastic on those things. And of course, the college draft. You want to make these college games a little more interesting, hear about some of the top prospects, check out any of those shows. We love that. We love those of you that rate and review the show. That's awesome. Follow us on social media at Ross Tucker NFL, at Ross Tucker Pod, and engage in any way so you can be one of the winners next week. I think we're done here.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also check out Even Money, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.
Shout out myfrontpagestory.com. I don't know why more of you guys don't do this. Trust me, they will love it. myfrontpagestory.com, myfrontpagestory.com, backofficescheduler.com, humanheadnyc.com, Sporticulture, Pizza Boy Brewing.